Hello and welcome back to the Parenting Bookshelf. I'm Dr. Robina. I'm a licensed mental health counselor, a behavior analyst, and most importantly for today's conversation, a mom who understands just how life changing becoming a parent can be. Today's episode is inspired by one of my favorite relationship books for new parents, And Baby Makes Three by Dr. John and Julie Gottman. If you're expecting your first baby, recently became parent, or maybe you've noticed that somewhere between diapers, daycare, laundry, and sleep deprivation, your relationship doesn't quite feel the same anymore, this episode is for you. Let's dive in. When couples are expecting a baby, everyone talks about labor. They talk about car seats, swaddles, sleep training, breastfeeding, but almost nobody sits couples down and says, by the way, your relationship is going to go through one of the biggest transitions of your lives. And that silence can be really harmful. Because when conflict starts increasing after baby arrives, many couples quietly begin asking themselves, what are we doing wrong? Did we marry the wrong person? Why are we fighting so much? The truth is, you're probably experiencing something that millions of couples experience. Research has consistently found that relationship satisfaction often decreases during the transition into parenthood. Notice I didn't say love decreases. I didn't say commitment decreases. I said relationship satisfaction. Those are very different things. When you're exhausted, overwhelmed, and trying to keep a tiny human alive, you're simply operating with fewer emotional resources. You're not necessarily less in love, you're just more stressed. And stress changes how we treat each other. I want you to hear this because I think it's incredibly important. If becoming parents has been harder on your relationship than you expected, that does not automatically mean your marriage is failing. Stress changes our brains. Sleep deprivation changes our patience. Hormonal shifts change our emotions. Our identities shift. Our routines disappear overnight. Even couples with wonderful relationships can suddenly find themselves arguing about dishes, bottles, bedtime, whose turn is it to wake up, or why one person seems to get a shower while the other hasn't washed their hair in 4 days. I've been there. You're not alone. Now, here is the helpful part. One of the biggest findings from Gottman's decades long research is this: healthy couples aren't couples who never fight, they're couples who know how to repair after conflict. That idea alone takes so much pressure off because it means perfection isn't the goal, connection is the goal. So today, I'd like to walk you through the 6 habits that research suggests helps couples stay emotionally connected after becoming parents. Habit 1: staying curious about each other. Here's something we often forget. The person you married changes after becoming a parent, and so do you. Maybe your husband worries more than he did before. Maybe your wife struggles with anxiety she has never experienced before pregnancy. Maybe one of you has become more career focused. Maybe one of you is grieving the loss of spontaneity. Parenthood changes people. Instead of assuming you already know your partner, stay curious. One question I'd encourage you to ask tonight is this: what has been the hardest part of becoming a parent for you? Just listen. No fixing, no interrupting, no trying to solve a problem. Sometimes feeling understood is more healing than receiving advice. Habit 2: practice appreciation. Here's something fascinating about the human brain. When we're stressed, our brains become really good at spotting problems. That means we naturally begin noticing what our partners aren't doing. They forgot the diaper bag. They left the dishes in the sink. They were late. They forgot to text. Our brains become detectives looking for mistakes. The antidote is intentional appreciation. So instead of saying, you never help, try saying, I really appreciated that you handled bedtime yesterday. Notice how specific that is. Specific appreciation feels genuine. And here's a challenge for you this week. Every day, notice one thing your partner did well. Not because they're perfect, because your brain needs help remembering that they're trying. Habit 3. Turn towards small moments. One of my favorite concepts from Gottman's research is something called bids for connection. These are tiny moments that are easy to miss. Your partner says, hey, look at this. Or, oh, I'm exhausted. Can I tell you something? Guess what happened today? Those aren't just comments, they're invitations. Every time we respond with interest, we're making a small emotional deposit into the relationship. Every time we repeatedly ignore those bids, emotional distance slowly grows. None of us can respond perfectly every time, especially with little kids running around. But even saying, I really want to hear this. Can you give me 5 minutes while I finish this? That feels very different than silence or indifference or you just turning away and doing the dishes. Habit 4. Fight better. Conflict isn't the enemy. Every healthy couple disagrees. The question isn't whether you'll argue. The question is how you'll argue. One habit that dramatically changes conversations is something called a gentle startup. Instead of saying, you never help around here, try, I'm feeling overwhelmed and I could really use your help. Those two sentences communicate completely different things. One invites defense, the other invites teamwork. And when conflict does happen, which it will, don't underestimate the power of a repair. I'm sorry, that's a repair. I didn't realize how that sounded. Let's start over. We're on the same team. Sometimes those simple phrases save you hours of unnecessary conflict. Habit number 5. Protect your friendship. After children arrive, couples often become incredible co-managers. You're running schedules, you're packing lunches, you're paying bills, you're managing appointments, but somewhere along the way you stop being friends. The research suggests friendship is actually one of the strongest predictors of long-term relationship satisfaction. Friendship isn't expensive. It's laughing together, sharing coffee, sending a funny meme, watching one episode of a show together at night, talking about something besides the children. Even 10 uninterrupted minutes can make a surprising difference. Habit number 6. Create a shared vision. The final habit is asking a question that many couples never actually discuss. What kind of family are we trying to build? What values matter most to us? What traditions do we hope our children remember? What kind of marriage do we hope they grow up watching? You're no longer just surviving, you're building something together. If there's one thing I hope you take away from today's episode is this: having a baby does not ruin relationships. Untreated stress can. The good news is that healthy relationships aren't built through perfection. They're built through thousands of small moments of curiosity, appreciation, repair, and connection. Thank you so much for spending part of your day with me. If you enjoyed this episode, I'd love for you to subscribe to the Parenting Bookshelf and share it with another parent who might need to hear this message. If you're navigating anxiety, burnout, or relationship challenges after becoming a parent and feel like you could use some extra support, you can learn more about my counseling practice in the links below in the show notes. Until next time, remember, you don't have to be a perfect parent. You just need to keep learning, growing, and showing up. I'll see you next week on the Parenting Bookshelf.